Be very still for a moment. The blood moon of 2026 has already passed through the sky, but what most people don't understand is this. Eclipses don't end when the shadow moves away. The visible event is brief. The invisible shift lingers. And right now, whether you felt something dramatic or absolutely nothing at all, you are in the aftercurrent of a total lunar eclipse. This is the window where choices matter more than reactions. This is the space where subtle decisions shape the tone of the next few weeks. And tonight, we're not talking about fear, we're talking about awareness. Because there are 8 things you need to avoid right now if you want clarity instead of confusion, grounding instead of chaos. The first thing you must avoid is chasing signs. After a blood moon, people become hyper-alert. They refresh messages. They scan for angel numbers. They look for dramatic breakthroughs. They wait for fireworks. But eclipses rarely explode outward. They root inward. The energy works underground first. Seeds are planted before they sprout. When you obsess over proof, you blind yourself to quiet transformation. The urge to confirm something is happening actually blocks you from noticing what is. The real shift doesn't shout, it settles. And patience in this window is not passive, it is power. If nothing dramatic has happened yet, that does not mean nothing has moved. It means the soil is still forming around new roots. The second thing to avoid is impulsive reinvention. There is something about a blood moon that makes people want to cut their hair, change their appearance, delete old photos, announce a new identity. It feels urgent. It feels symbolic. It feels like if you change the outside, the inside will instantly follow. But intensity is not clarity. Eclipses expose layers of identity. They pull old versions of you to the surface. And when that old version feels uncomfortable, the instinct is to erase it immediately. But decisions made in emotional spikes rarely align with who you are in calm moments. Give yourself 3 days. If the desire to change something physical still feels grounded, then it is aligned. If it fades, it was just emotional residue. The blood moon reveals. It does not demand immediate action. The third thing you must avoid is speaking your plans too soon. This is where many people unknowingly weaken their own progress. After an eclipse, clarity begins forming around goals and intentions. But that clarity is delicate. When you talk about your new direction before it stabilizes, you expose it to opinions, doubts, and projections that may not support it. Not every ear is meant to hold your next chapter. Silence is not secrecy, it is incubation. When you protect an idea in its early stage, you allow it to root deeper. The moment you announce something prematurely, you psychologically bind yourself to it, even if it evolves later. Let it breathe privately. Let it solidify. There is strength in quiet alignment. The fourth thing to avoid is fear-based interpretation. The internet floods with dramatic language every time the moon turns red. Omens, portals, warnings, collapse. But a total lunar eclipse is not a punishment. It is not a curse. It is a mirror. If something feels unstable in your life right now, the eclipse did not create the crack. It illuminated it. Fear distorts reflection into threat. When you let fear narrate your experience, you surrender your power. Instead, choose awareness. If something feels exposed, ask yourself why it was ready to surface. Growth feels uncomfortable when truth replaces denial. That discomfort is not danger, it is evolution asking for participation. The fifth thing to avoid right now is overloading your body. After intense emotional focus, the nervous system is heightened. Many people feel restless, overstimulated, or strangely drained. And when that happens, they reach for heavy food, mindless scrolling, loud environments, anything to distract or numb the sensation. But this window calls for gentleness. Your body processes everything more intensely during emotional peaks. Choosing lighter meals, hydrating well, and slowing your pace allows integration instead of resistance. This is not about restriction, it is about support. When your system feels overloaded, clarity becomes harder to access. Treat your body like it just ran a marathon of subtle energy. Give it recovery. The sixth thing you need to avoid is neglecting your sleep environment tonight. Even psychologically, when an event feels significant, the mind remains slightly alert afterward. If your space is bright, noisy, overstimulating, your rest becomes shallow. Draw the curtains, dim the lights, turn down the volume of the outside world. Sleep is where integration completes itself. If you carry overstimulation into the night, you wake up carrying the eclipse forward instead of closing it gently. Position matters. Environment matters. Small adjustments create large internal shifts. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe for daily cosmic insights, astrology updates, and spiritual guidance, because the universe always has a message for you. The seventh thing to avoid is self-punishment. Eclipses bring awareness. Sometimes that awareness is uncomfortable. You may notice a habit you avoided confronting, a pattern you outgrew but didn't release, a truth you delayed, and the immediate reaction can be harsh self-criticism. I should have known. I wasted time. I failed. But illumination is not humiliation. Awareness means readiness. If something became visible, it is because you are prepared to handle it now. Meeting yourself with compassion in this moment accelerates growth. Meeting yourself with judgment freezes it. The blood moon does not shame, it reveals. And what is revealed can be healed. The eighth and final thing to avoid is rushing to define what this eclipse meant. People crave conclusions. They want to label the shift immediately. This is the start of my new life. This is the end of everything. But transformation rarely announces itself so cleanly. Sometimes clarity unfolds in quiet realizations over days or weeks. If you try to force meaning too quickly, you distort the message. Let your understanding arrive naturally. Observe instead of declaring. Notice instead of narrating. The integration period is just as important as the event itself. Right now, you are standing in a subtle recalibration window. Not dramatic, not catastrophic, not mystical in a way that removes your agency, but meaningful in a way that invites your awareness. The blood moon of 2026 did not come to overwhelm you. It came to reveal where your energy has been misaligned and where your next level is quietly forming. Take the next 48 hours gently, eat lightly, sleep intentionally, speak carefully, observe patiently. If emotions rise, witness them without attaching a story. If nothing feels different, trust that unseen processes are still moving. Not every shift is loud. Not every transformation demands an announcement. And if this message resonated with you, if you felt a subtle calm while listening, that is your confirmation, not from the sky, but from within. The most powerful alignment does not come from fear of cosmic events. It comes from conscious response. So breathe, release urgency, protect your ideas, avoid impulsive reactions. Choose softness over drama, and let this eclipse close its chapter through your awareness rather than your anxiety. If you're still here, still listening, comment below with one word that describes how you feel right now. Grounded, curious, clear, uncertain. Whatever it is, Own it, because awareness is the true shift, and you are already moving through it. If you are still here, then something in you understands that this is not just about the moon, it is about momentum, because what most people miss after a blood moon eclipse is this: the external shadow passes quickly, but the internal shadow takes time to reorganize. There is a ninth mistake people make in the days after a total lunar eclipse, and it is subtle. They return to old environments too quickly. The same conversations, the same routines, the same distractions. It feels safe to fall back into familiarity, but eclipses disrupt emotional autopilot. They interrupt unconscious cycles. When you rush back into environments that no longer match who you are becoming, you create internal friction. You may feel irritated without reason, drained without explanation, restless without clarity. That is misalignment surfacing. Give yourself space from noise, even if that simply means reducing social media for a day, even if it means declining one unnecessary interaction. After a blood moon, your discernment is sharper. Listen to it. If something feels heavy, do not override that signal just because it used to be comfortable. Growth always feels unfamiliar before it feels natural. There is also something else that surfaces during this window: emotional projection. You may suddenly feel more reactive to people close to you. Small comments feel amplified. Minor misunderstandings feel larger than they should. This is not coincidence. Eclipses heighten reflection, and sometimes what irritates you most in others is revealing something unfinished within yourself. Avoid starting unnecessary conflicts right now. Avoid reading tone where none exists. Avoid assuming intent without clarity. Ask before reacting. Pause before responding. The difference between reaction and response during this period can determine whether you strengthen a relationship or strain it. The energy is not here to break bonds, it is here to refine them. Another thing you must avoid is making permanent decisions based on temporary emotion. Quitting a job in frustration, ending a relationship during a heated moment, sending a message you cannot take back. Emotional intensity peaks and then it settles, but consequences linger. Let your emotions inform you, not control you. If something truly needs to change, clarity will remain once the emotional wave passes. Right now, the most powerful thing you can practice is observation without immediate action. The eclipse revealed. Now you integrate. Let's go deeper, because beneath all of this practical advice lies something even more important: identity recalibration. Every total lunar eclipse marks a symbolic closure. Something reaches culmination, something completes a cycle, and when cycles close, space opens. The uncomfortable part is that space can feel empty before it feels promising. Many people mistake this temporary emptiness for loss. They feel less motivated, less certain, less emotionally charged, and they panic, thinking something is wrong. But what if that quiet is integration? What if the intensity you felt before was attachment dissolving? Avoid filling the silence immediately. Avoid distracting yourself from stillness. When the noise fades, truth becomes audible. You may realize a goal you chased was not truly yours. You may see that a fear you carried no longer fits. You may notice that your priorities are rearranging themselves quietly. This is not collapse. This is refinement. Another hidden trap after a blood moon is comparison. You will see people online claiming massive breakthroughs, dramatic manifestations, life-changing revelations, and you may question why your experience feels subtle. But transformation is not a competition. Some shifts are loud because resistance was loud. Some shifts are quiet because alignment was already near. Trust your pace. Also, understand this. The eclipse does not do the work for you. It exposes where the work is required. If you felt clarity around a habit, that clarity is an invitation to act, calmly, steadily, intentionally. Not dramatically, not impulsively, but consistently. Momentum after an eclipse is built through small aligned actions. One honest conversation, one boundary set gently, one choice that supports your long-term stability rather than short-term comfort. Do not underestimate small corrections. Over time, they reshape entire timelines. Now we come to the most important part of all. What this blood moon truly represents for you. It represents awareness, and awareness is neutral until you decide what to do with it. You can interpret this eclipse as chaos, or you can interpret it as clarity. You can treat it as something happening to you, or you can recognize it as something revealing you to yourself. Avoid giving external events more power than your internal response. The sky shifted. Yes, but your choices shape your trajectory. Over the next week, pay attention to subtle nudges. If you feel drawn to simplify, simplify. If you feel guided to organize, organize. If you feel the urge to release something peacefully, do so without drama. Alignment rarely screams, it whispers. And here is something that many people will not say. Sometimes nothing visibly changes after an eclipse, and that is okay. Not every energetic window produces fireworks. Some simply stabilize what was already shifting quietly behind the scenes. The goal is not to force transformation. The goal is to cooperate with it. So walk gently for a few days, speak thoughtfully, rest intentionally. Choose softness over stimulation. Protect your ideas. Guard your energy. Observe your reactions, and allow the integration to complete itself naturally. If you made it through all 4 parts of this message, that already says something about you. It means you are reflective. It means you care about alignment. It means you are willing to slow down instead of rushing blindly forward. Comment below with the word aware if you are choosing conscious response over reactive impulse this week. Let this not be about superstition. Let it be about self-mastery. The Blood Moon Eclipse of 2026 has passed through the sky. Now it passes through you. And how you move from here, that is entirely in your hands.